Hey guys, this is Code of Steel and welcome to your 11th tutorial in the C programming language. Guys, I am excited to announce that I have posted the function set that I had been working on for the past little while on a G drive, on my G drive on Google Plus, and I made it available via a link on my YouTube channel page. So you guys can go ahead and go there and download the file. Also, while you're on there, if you could please subscribe to my channel, that would be nice. And then you can follow along with future tutorials now that you'll have access to that function. All you do is click on the link and then you can download it from there. Anyways, moving on to what's important for this tutorial is next tutorial we're going to need to use something that I'm going to teach you guys about today, and that's called the switch case statement. So basically the way a switch case statement works is it's a better if-else structure, if you will. That's pretty much what it is. It's a better way of doing an if-else structure if you're going to have multiple lines. As you guys can see right here, I have an example code set up that I made earlier today, and I declared a variable, printed a statement on the screen saying enter a letter. You had to scanf, got user input, and then they made decisions based on what the letter entered was. If it's A, do this, D, do that, K, do that, such and such. If it's none of them, then do this. You didn't enter any of those. Well, and another thing I should mention to you guys too is this is the shortcut of how you can write an if loop. If you only have one line of code, you can just write if blah and then write underneath it what you want the instruction to be that's executed. If you have more than one line under this, let me show you guys what happens. And then let me try to run it. It gives me an error saying expected primary expression before else. That's because you can only execute one instruction if you write an if loop this way. If I wanted to execute more instructions within the if loop, I need to put these curly braces here like this. So it knows, oh, you want me to execute everything within those curly braces. Gotcha. Okay? So that's basically it. This is called basically like a shortcut if. How you can do a shortcut if structure. But what if we wanted to create an if-else structure that performed multiple instructions like what I showed you guys before. I put another line of code underneath this and I wanted to execute multiple instructions. Well, I'd have to do an if, curly braces, else if, curly braces, else if, curly braces, and then I got to keep making decisions on that variable. What if I wanted to make 26 decisions and then I wanted to do 5 instructions within each thing? Well, now I got to go through and do the curly braces and all this, and then state within the recopy pretty much all the stuff for all conditions, and it just becomes a headache to look at because now you're sitting here looking at all these else ifs that are going to execute off of the stuff, and you got to retype all of the stuff and or copy paste it. It gets a little annoying. So luckily for us, the people who developed the C programming language invented the switch case structure, which I'm going to show you guys how to use, and we're going to implement the exact same code just with a different way of doing it using the switch cases. So I'm going to show you guys how this code works first. Basically, I enter A, it says you entered A, and I'll execute it again. You guys should know this from before, how an else if structure works. I'll enter L. You did not enter A, D, or K. There you go. You did not enter A, D, or K right there. So the code works well that way. Now I'm going to show you guys how to implement it using switch cases. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do something called, we're just going to type the word switch, which is a keyword. It's built into C. And then I put switch on our variable that we want to switch on, which is G. We want to switch on the variable G. And then we do the curly braces the same way we would do for a function or if loop or whatever else. Okay, so then within the parameters of the if loop, or the switch case, sorry, we're going to then start typing out what the cases are that we want stuff to execute on. Case, as you might guess, you just type the word case, which is another keyword. And then I type in what I want the case to trigger on. I want it to trigger on if G is equal to A. And what do we want to do if G is equal to A? Well, we want to do this instruction right here. So now that takes care of that. And if you guys look at that, that's pretty nice. Now we've eliminated an if loop, and if we could paste, if we had 3 instructions underneath this, we could paste all 3 instructions in this thing, and it would execute, and you don't have to do the curly braces or type this nonsense multiple times. You guys will see how this is going to get a lot easier here in a second. It'll make sense to you guys why this is so much better way of doing long structures like this. Case D, and then I can go ahead and copy and paste that up there, and then now I eliminated this. And then the final case, which is going to be case K, don't forget, guys, you also need the K char variables. I should have mentioned that. You still need to type the letters just like you would for the if loop for that. And then also you put a colon after. If you guys have been following, you guys would notice that. So and then there you go. Now the K is eliminated. And then now I have to tell C where it ends by putting these breaks in here. Otherwise, it doesn't know whether I want it to execute all of these instructions or just one of them per time that it runs through this. I only want it to execute one line of instructions if this case is true. Even though it wouldn't matter if I selected this one, it would not run any of these other ones anyway because it's not equal to D. So anyways, that's not what's important. What's important next is how do we implement this else in the switch case stuff? Well, the way you do that is you have something called a default case, which means if all else fails, I'll execute this. So we're going to execute this block of instructions within that. And then we can go ahead and erase this. And we have one big, nice, complete switch case structure. So as you guys can see, if I had multiple if loops and I had multiple instructions being executed within each of those, I would have to do the curly braces like this multiple times for each of the if loops, and then I have to do an else if, and then type the condition then, blah, blah, blah. Well, this, I can just go switch on this letter, this is the condition, execute these instructions, this is the condition, execute the instruction. It's a lot less typing that you've got to do to go through it. So let me show you guys, give you the rundown of how this works. Let's do a compile and run. There you go. Enter a letter. We're going to enter a D. You enter D. It tells us we entered D, which is cool. That's exactly what we did. We did enter D. So you got that there. Same thing. The default case will only execute if all else fails. Well, we're going to make it fail. We type in a U. It fails. You did not enter A, D, or K, just as we would expect. So anyways, that is the switch case structure. This is going to be a very, very crucial to the next code we're going to build, which is going to be something pretty awesome, and that actually doesn't involve me really teaching more stuff about C. It'll actually be just more of a kind of a following along, and then the end result will be kind of cool. You guys will get to see. I think we're going to build like a hardware store, cash register, something like that. So I haven't quite decided yet. I think that's what we're going to do next time, so this will be pretty cool. Also, in a future video, I will be showing you guys how to download the user functions I posted on my page if you guys can't find them. So that'll be coming up probably in a few tutorials down the line. So anyways, stay posted, guys. Keep watching, and I can't wait to post my next video. I will see you guys at the next tutorial.